Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of Implied Oral Consent. It's a podcast where we will be going through the entire baseball season, talking about all things baseball, pop culture, pretty much anything that tickles our fancy. My name is Ryan Ciriaco, and I'm joined, as always, with my buddy up in Santa Clara, David Harding. David, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, Ryan. Glad to kick off the podcast with you today.
Yes, sir. This is going to be fun. It's going to be a really fun 7+ months. We'll see how this experiment goes, but really, this is my first foray into all of this, and the whole point of this, what we're calling episode 0, is just so that everyone can get a chance to really get to know who we are, because, you know, we're certainly not celebrities, and people aside from our families and friends absolutely don't know who we are. So let's let the people know what we're all about, and really what they're in store for the next 7 months. But I'd love to start with, well, first of all, Implied Oral Consent. What a funny name, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the whole Simpsons reference, I was down with that because, you know, The Simpsons are a classic cartoon, and anytime you can throw baseball into the mix, that's just great.
Well, yeah, The Simpsons have a really fun history over their, 25 years of being on the air, of making slight references to Major League Baseball. Obviously, one of the greatest references is, greatest episodes with baseball was Homer at the Bat, where he played on his work softball team with people like Ken Griffey Jr., Mike Scioscia, Steve Sax, Ozzie Smith, and all of them kind of came down with all sorts of different ailments, and that was an amazing episode. But the one that we're referencing here in Implied Oral Consent is the one where Homer goes out to sea, specifically international waters with his boys, where essentially anything can happen. And so Lenny was pointing out a boat offshore that was broadcasting Major League Baseball with only implied oral consent rather than the express written consent that's necessary to rebroadcast Major League Baseball. And I thought that was hilarious, and so I think it's a perfect reference for this podcast.
Yeah, man. I mean, in a way, this is kind of pirate radio. We've got all kinds of different devices hooked up. I'm sure we're going to drop some songs we're not allowed to use, but, you know, it doesn't really matter because we're getting to the heart of people who love baseball, people who are true fans, but who are also fans of pop culture and the way that those two things blend together. And, I mean, that's how you and I actually met, was through, the whole process of getting selected for the Fan Cave.
Oh, absolutely. Let's put that on the back burner for a second. Let's tell the people who you are. David Harding. Who is David Harding, and what makes him tick?
So, you know, I've been living in the Bay Area. I'm a transplant from New England, actually, Portland, Maine. I've been living out here for like almost 10 years now, making me feel a little bit old. I went to Santa Clara University and graduated there in 2009. Now I'm a video producer, so I'm living the corporate life, doing that thing. But I've been a lifelong Red Sox fan. I played baseball my whole life and actually got a chance to play ball in Japan. So I think not a lot of people out there have, unless you're a pro, you know, like my boy Kevin Youkilis, who's going to tear it up for the Eagles this year. I'm never going to watch a game, so I'm sure he's just going to have to, you know, let me believe that. But, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how good your cable package is, but I don't get the NPB out here.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, they don't package in the Japan network there. So, anyway.
The Japan network, as in just one network for all of Japan?
Well, one network from Japan for all of America.
Yeah.
Let me see here. So, anyway, you know, I'm a transplant living in California. I love the weather. That's probably the key thing here, but I've just really had the itch to do something like this, like a podcast, a video. I try to do vlogs, but man, I just don't have enough hours in the day. And so I linked up with you down in LA. I wouldn't have thought I'd link up with a Dodger fan, but maybe the trade made me feel a little more friendly toward you.
No, absolutely. That that is definitely one of the first things that I want to get into with you in kind of subsequent episodes. And I actually remember an initial conversation that you and I had, probably the second time we ever talked, like online, was doing a video just like that to talk about the big trade in, was it 2010, 2011, between the Boston Red Sox and the LA Dodgers, and kind of where they are now. But we will get to that momentarily. But I guess about me, since we've transitioned on to me here. Ryan Ciriaco, born and raised here in Los Angeles. I am coming to you live from Los Angeles as well. I am married, 33 years old, so I'm a little bit, and that reads a lot bit older than my boy DH.
But you don't look it.
I don't look it. You know, I'm not black, so I can't say black don't crack, but I'm brown, so that pretty much is in that same area. So yeah, but no, it's actually kind of funny with Filipinos when you get when we age very gracefully up until you get to like maybe 65, 70, and then you hit the sheer cliff, and then you look like a shriveled up California raisin for the rest of your life. But at that point, 65, 70, I'll take it. I will have lived most of my life by then. So, married to a beautiful woman named Samantha. We have a dog and a cat. I graduated from law school in 2012, and 2 weeks ago sat for the California State Bar for the first time, and I think we will probably have about a dozen of these podcasts under our belt by the time I get my results on May 16th. So trust me when I say this is going to be a nice welcome reprieve for me to get, as a nice outlet while I'm waiting for bar results and looking for a job. So among our 7 listeners out there, if you know of any attorney, law clerk, paralegal, legal assistant positions out there, I will be happy to hear from you. Tweet us in at the IOC Podcast on Twitter. You can also email us at theiocpodcast@gmail.com. But yeah, growing up in Los Angeles, I am a diehard Los Angeles Dodgers fan. But over the years since becoming a Dodgers fan in 1988, 25 years to be exact of fandom, I've grown an appreciation for baseball itself, and that really kind of led to really understanding the game and ultimately culminating in this. This is going to be a fantastic outlet and opportunity for both Dave and I to really talk about the sport that we love and really kind of mesh it in with our love for film, television, music, anything going on the internet, pop culture. So it's going to be lots of fun.
Yeah, I mean, season's almost upon us here. I actually didn't want to leak this till the end, but I may be heading to a particular city in a particular state that is a little east of here for a little spring training action.
Oh man, I think you can tell them now. It's fine. I think our 7 listeners will appreciate knowing.
Yeah. So luckily, when you work corporate life, you get paid time off, and I'm taking full advantage of that in not even April yet. Gonna catch spring training for the first time ever with my dad for the Red Sox. I have been down to Arizona before, but this is the first time for the Sox, so I'm pretty stoked. I'll be taking many pictures. Hopefully, our Instagram will be up and running with hundreds of followers, but again, we'll take the 7. Just chilling on the beach.
We are actually up and running with that Instagram as well.
Oh, there we go. Look at us. All kinds of stuff, and so please follow us. That's what we want. We want you guys to listen to us banter.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely. You can actually follow us on Instagram as well at the IOC Podcast. Actually, no. I take that back. That's the only piece of social media where implied oral consent wasn't taken. Some person out there that's probably just a bigger Simpsons fan than all of us has been squatting on implied oral consent for a website, for the podcast, for email addresses, for all that kind of stuff, for a Twitter account.
We might have to take the MySpace though.
The MySpace, the Friendster. I think Friendster might be available. In my MySpace, I'll make sure that you're in my top 8.
Man, I feel honored.
But no, I am super jealous that you're going to be going down to Fort Myers in Florida for spring training, because really, is that our warning?
That's it. Yeah. So that was the first segment. We're just trying to plug a few things here, get you guys to follow us.
Absolutely. And coming up in our next segment, we're going to be telling you exactly what to expect for this podcast and kind of specifically how DH and I got together. So keep it locked here, the Implied Oral Consent podcast.
Back with Implied Oral Consent. I was just telling Ryan how awesome it's going to be for me to be in spring training in Florida this weekend.
Oh, gosh. I can't even imagine how much fun... Well, actually, I can imagine how much fun you're going to have because this year is the first year in 5 years that I haven't been able to make a trip out to spring training. It's been a tradition of mine with one of my best friends, Will, who I met in law school. One of his friends is a pitcher in. He made it to the show for a very like if like a trip to the show was a cup of coffee, he had like a shot of espresso.
Wow,
like
not even a full
pitched.
Cup.
He pitched 2 innings. 2/3 of an inning to mop up a game, and then shortly after that, he was sent back down with when he was with the Yankees a couple years ago. But we've actually been just following him around from camp to camp, and just he's just awesome. Probably one of the nicest guys ever. And this is the first year I haven't been able to see him. He's actually down in Sarasota right now with the Orioles organization, trying to make it there. And he's actually a lot of lefty injuries and a lot of bad luck for those pitchers, and a lot of good luck for him away from making it back to the show, because he's a very talented lefty relief pitcher. So love to see him. But
that's crazy, man. I didn't realize that you knew any Major League ball players. I guess living in LA, I should have assumed you did. I've actually played against 2 in high school. They're both playing right now. One, Charlie Furbush, lefty middle reliever for the Mariners, and Ryan Flaherty, who I'm hoping gets a starting job at second for the Orioles. Those guys were real good in high school, and it's obvious why they made the show, and I'm here doing the podcast. Happy to be here, but rather be playing the show.
Nah, absolutely. I played in elementary school, but didn't get very far past that. My closest brush with greatness in baseball in elementary school is actually playing with Chris Dickerson. He's bounced up and down from the majors to AAA a lot recently, and currently he's actually with the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, trying to latch on with them in a reserve outfielder role. But yeah, he's a local boy. We actually went to the same elementary school, so it was kind of really cool to see him make it to the show when he broke out with the Cincinnati Reds. But God, I really don't want to hear the word spring training anymore, because that really makes me think of our missed opportunity going to spring training with a little organization called the MLB Fan Cave. And really that's how Dave and I got to meet. And Dave, why don't you tell them a little bit about the MLB Fan Cave and how this whole thing kind of came together?
Yeah, so, I was watching the World Series, obviously, being a Sox fan, and it was probably around Game 3 where I saw the billboard, and I'm like, oh, Fan Cave, like, what's that? I'd literally never seen it before. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, well, you live in New York City. So I start researching. And then the obsession comes on. So I'm like, okay, I'm in this thing. I'm applying. I'm doing a video. I'm doing everything I can. I'm like, oh, I played baseball. I'm going to put that in there. I'm a Sox fan. I'm trying to be like a rabid fan. So I put the video up, and like I'm looking, and one of the first videos I see is this dude, Ryan Ciriaco. I'm like, all right, what's this about? And he's got, Major League soundtrack in the background. I'm like, oh, here we go. Like this dude's got a shot right here. So I put mine up, and then I think it was Twitter, right? Did you hit me on Twitter?
Yeah, I saw you on Twitter. Like obviously you were great about putting like kind of graphics on your video, and you put your Twitter handle on there and all that kind of stuff. And so I hit you up there once we both followed each other, I hit you up on DMs because it ain't no one else's business what we're talking about.
It's implied oral consent on the NDA at that point.
Yeah, no, exactly. Now, since we're both kind of not in it, we can kind of divulge exactly what went on behind the scenes. And God, it was so entertaining watching the banter go on between certain people over Twitter, all the speculation, all of the all the assumptions that people were making that they made it on to next rounds when they really didn't do shit.
The humble brags.
We're really gonna we're gonna bleep that out. By the way, I'm gonna try not to curse as much on this podcast.
But I mean,
oh my God,
the humble
some
brags.
Characters.
It was crazy, like when you didn't even know if you're gonna get in, and then you're saying, "Oh, nailed it, this and that. Oh, this is gonna be an awesome 7 months." Like all these vague, subtle little jabs to all the other contestants, and we're sitting here, we're having our separate side Google chat saying, what do you think's gonna happen? When are they gonna pick somebody? And finally, I think it was only a week or so ago, we actually did get a call back from the casting people, and which that was nice. They didn't really have to do that.
No, they have zero obligation to talk to any of us, especially since there were, I don't know, thousands upon thousands of people that applied for this thing. So, granted, yes, it was fantastic of the casting directors to get back to us. We certainly saw the writing on the wall when one of our buddies. Actually, I don't think I should mention anything.
Yeah, maybe we'll leave him unnamed, but let's just say we know a guy who knows a guy who was in the fan cave process. A guy. And when he found things out, we would also find things out. And so that's how we knew.
Yeah, I didn't want to, oh man, I did not want to ruin it for him or her. I don't know. Could be a him, could be a shim. Who knows? But anyway, this person will remain nameless. But yeah, we saw the writing on the wall when this person went to spring training and travel arrangements weren't made for us. And so after, I don't know, 2 or 3 days of mourning and Girl Scout cookies and, crying in the fetal position in the corner, in a dark corner of our room, I finally kind of got over it and planned to move on and do something with this passion for baseball and pop culture that we would have absolutely had explode on the MLB Fan Cave. And now we're going to get to do it on our own terms, on our own time, and make it exactly what we want it to be. So I'm really excited for this opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, and I was like, okay, I'll quit my job. I mean, I know that you just study for the bar and stuff, but I was ready to give up a lot. I mean, I'm not saying I'm really well off, but I got out of school, I have a job. I feel like that's enough for most people to kind of be jealous of.
Oh, absolutely. Well, if you're willing to quit your job. I've been studying for the bar exam. I had been studying for the bar exam for about 7 weeks at that time. And when I found out through our unnamed sources that the spring training trip would literally coincide with the dates of the bar exam, it took about maybe, 5 minutes for me to make the decision that in the event that I was picked for this opportunity, I would have dropped the bar exam like a bad habit for just for the small chance of pursuing this dream job at the MLB Fan Cave. Now, obviously that didn't happen, and so I sat for the bar exam. But that would have been the hardest conversation to have with my parents, saying, I spent about a small mortgage on my law school education and spent thousands upon thousands of dollars paying for a study course and not working to study for this very important exam. But I think I'm going to give it all up to watch baseball for 7 months in New York City. That would have been a lot harder than that little exchange just then. But I was willing to do it. And a small part of me is kind of grateful that I didn't have to have that conversation.
Well, yeah, not only that, and I'm kind of glad I don't have to watch all the games because I really only want to watch my team and then Sports Center or MLB Network. And I mean, what am I supposed to do when I'm watching like Marlins Phillies and it's, like a 4 p.m. game? Like, that's a snooze right there. I just don't want to deal with that.
Well, good Lord, could you imagine extra innings on the West Coast?
At least I'm on the West Coast.
Well, we're on the West Coast, but if we were in New York City, extra innings on the West Coast, and they've had a few of them over the past couple of years where cave dwellers had to watch, they would be up till about, I don't know, 2, 3 in the morning, and then have to run it back the very next day for maybe a day game at Wrigley.
Yeah, that's rough. That's
it's a rough life, and some of the people that I talk to really kind of put that into perspective, and by people I mean past dwellers who again remain nameless. But there are a lot of amazing perks, but there are a lot of kind of untold hazards that come with the job too. So we're going to be wrapping up this segment right now, but coming up in the next segment, we're going to be kind of giving a preview of what you guys can expect throughout the next 7 months, and just depending on how this goes, beyond. So keep it locked here at Implied Oral Consent, and we will be right back. All right, welcome back to Implied Oral Consent. As we were talking about in the last segment, the MLB Fan Cave, we just want to kind of put that all to rest. That last segment really was kind of therapeutic for me, and I'm sure it was therapeutic for DH, but no disrespect to the Fan Cave. Obviously we wouldn't have pursued it as passionately and as fervently as we did if we didn't think it was awesome and an amazing experience to be had. But that being said, Implied Oral Consent is essentially going to be doing almost exactly what the MLB Fan Cave will be doing, minus the stop-bys by the Major League ball players, the random pop-bys by musical acts and celebrities. Who knows? Depending on how well this goes, we could have those too. But really, this is going to be the confluence of Major League Baseball and pop culture and really everything that we love and that we're passionate about. So we're going to try and do it better.
Yeah, I mean, we're just big baseball fans, and obviously we're into pop culture too. And not just like, oh, we're into everything. Like, we're going to tell you our opinions on stuff. Like, if we don't like something, we're going to let you know about it. And we thought the Fan Cave would have been, like, ideal, but I think this is even a little more ideal for us without the pay and all the cool stuff, like that.
Yeah, getting paid
Who needs money?
A month and living in a swanky apartment in Soho that's walking distance from the Fan Cave. Who needs that? And
so anyway,
all the free stuff.
Let's cut it there. We're gonna keep it rolling because we're here to give you some updates
over the next 7 months.
Stuff.
Yeah, and first and foremost, really, the thing that brought DH and I together is our love of baseball. And so what you're going to be expecting over the next 7 months is a nice chronicling of the 2014 baseball season from a very informed fan perspective. Now, between the two of us, I think we did the math, and we've got over 40 years of baseball fandom under our belts. And, I'm a law school grad. He's a Santa Clara grad and a very accomplished filmmaker. And so between the two of us, I fancy ourselves to be pretty intelligent.
Yeah,
so
we're wicked smart,
perspectives
guys.
And wicked smart, as they say in New England. And actually, it kind of works out that we have both an East Coast and a West Coast perspective as well. So you're definitely not going to get that East Coast bias from, or at least half of the podcast. So there's that. And then also, we are going to be watching and reviewing as many summer blockbusters as we can. So, DH, what are some of the movies that you're looking forward to seeing this summer?
Well, I mean, I think Captain America, that's going to be dope. I haven't been keeping up, though, as well as you have. But luckily, I do live walking distance from the, I think it's the Lowe's or like the AMC theater. So I'll be taking a lot of Fridays off to go peep the movies. I'm usually into more indie stuff, which I know sounds super hipster of me, but since I make a lot of indie films, I'm into stuff that's not really out there. Like, I still need to see her. I need to catch up on a lot of TV too, but Ryan has this extensive list of blockbusters that we need to see. So how many of those can you just rattle off in the next 15 seconds?
I don't even have the list off in my head, but starting off with, I'm a big Marvel Cinematic Universe guy. You can see right behind me, I've got Iron Man. He's right here in front of me too. So I'm really, really excited for Captain America and Guardians of the Galaxy, which are going to be bookending the summer blockbuster season. But the X-Men movie that's coming out, Transformers, the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. These are all huge blockbuster films, but more importantly, actually, more applicably to what we're doing here, what appears to be a pretty good baseball movie is coming out this summer too, and that's called Million Dollar Arm, starring John Hamm, Lake Bell, Asif Mandavi, and it's based on a true story. It's a Disney film. Disney's making it, and it's based on a true story of a reality show that they had in India where they sought out talent, specifically pitchers from cricket players, and they took two of them, and they actually gave them spots on a minor league team for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, this being Disney and this being an adaptation, they brought it to LA, and it's really more of a love story between John Hamm and Lake Bell, set to the backdrop of, India and Los Angeles, and this agent kind of trying to find love and these diamonds in the rough. But I think it's going to kind of go down in the pantheon of really awesome baseball movies, a lot of which are celebrating anniversaries this year too. And I'm sure DH and I are gonna talk about both major leagues, Major League 1 and 2, both of which are celebrating their 25th and 20th anniversaries respectively. Field of Dreams is also celebrating its 25th anniversary. Little Big League and Angels in the Outfield are both celebrating their 20th anniversaries. And so you can imagine those classic baseball films that all came out relatively close to each other, and they still hold up to this day. They're all actually among my favorite movies.
Yeah, so much good stuff. As far as I watch all the Major League movies at least 4 to 5 times a year. I'll just binge right through them. And the one thing that really bummed me out was they actually cut out Jeremy Piven's character in Major League. He was supposed to be a bench coach, and just like raging like Ari Gold. I wish I could have seen those reels. So maybe we'll track those down one day. But I think we may go back, watch those, try to give you guys some nuggets, some facts you might not know about. And as far as $1 Million Arm, isn't Bill Simmons executive producing that?
Yes, he actually became an executive producer on the back end. I don't know exactly the role that he's taken as an executive producer, because the film was in the can. It had distribution and all that kind of stuff way before he kind of came on. This development came on just maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. And so it's probably in financing. But yes, Bill Simmons, who has really, if there's ever an idol that DH and I can have, it's Bill Simmons. And he took a blog and turned it into a podcast, and turned that into a column, and turned that into an empire. Because right now he's living his own dream. And I don't think, if you asked him about 25 years ago if he would be doing a studio show for the NBA on ESPN, that he would ever believe you. But here he is, and now he's been the executive producer of all the 30 for 30 films. He's executive producing this film. They just recently, Grantland just signed a deal with another production company to make more films, and so it's really he's really blown up. But yes, he is attached to that film as well. But moving right along, we're going to be talking about way more stuff than that. There's going to be fantasy baseball. I've got my fantasy draft tomorrow, and it's an auction draft. And so I'll be kind of updating you with how things are going there, doing my own research and giving sleepers, great waiver wire pickups, all that kind of stuff. I know it's probably too late to have a fantasy draft preview because the next time we do one of these things, it's the season's pretty much going to be starting.
You got to help me out, though.
And then
I still got to join one. I think I'm just going to join a public league and just take my chances. And maybe play Streak for the Cash at the same time. So I'm going to just piggyback on Ryan's success. Whoever he picks, I'll probably just pick the same guys.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I already have keepers that I inherited from another team. I kept Jose Fernandez and Starling Marte. So one ace pitcher and a guy, a 5-tool player who's going to give me everything from hits and home runs to steals. And so that's going to be awesome. And then more stuff. We're going to be having special guests on throughout the season. One of the fantastic things about the Fan Cave process is that we met a lot of really informed, funny, passionate baseball fans along the way. And we're really looking forward to reaching out to a bunch of those guys and gals and having them on and talking about their respective favorite teams.
Welcome back to Implied Oral Consent. We were talking earlier about a little fantasy baseball, but Ryan, I know that you came up with something that's a little more fantasy baseball. Could you tell us something about that?
Yeah, it's lots of fun. It's something that one of my best friends, Will, and I came up with on our very first road trip out to spring training. So, road trip conversations, you talk about pretty much anything to pass the time. And we were driving from San Diego to Arizona, and the topic came up of kind of your top 5 like women. Now, I don't know if you're like anyone's a Friends fan out there, but I don't know if you see that episode where they had that conversation and you have your top 5 like hottest celebrity women for men, or guys, for whatever floats your boat, if you're a guy or a girl. Certainly don't discriminate here. But you have your top 5, and I guess the whole bit on the show was if you met them, then you would have a free pass to sleep with them if you had the opportunity.
Oh, all right, okay. So, tell me more. I'm listening.
So, for example, okay, so who would be like in your top 3 right now?
Well, gotta go Anna Kendrick because she reps my hometown.
We share that.
I would say at the 2 and 3 spot, it's probably a tie between 2003 Beyonce and Allison Brie. That was my top 3.
See, here's the thing with your 2003 Beyonce. You can't do that because it's current stats.
Ah, okay. So that wouldn't help me at all.
If you were to field a team today, and you treat it like regular fantasy baseball, if you were to field a team today, you would have to take Beyonce into consideration. So, like for someone like Beyonce, I would treat her like an Albert Pujols. She still has those. She still has flashes of greatness, and she's still probably just as strong as ever. She is older. She has had a baby. Obviously, that doesn't detract from how sexy or how successful she is.
Yeah, that album dropped hard.
That it dropped hard and it dropped in a hurry. But would you take her over, I don't know, someone that you can kind of build a franchise around for years to come that's a little bit younger? Beyonce is 32, 33 right now. So would you build a franchise around a 33-year-old player, or would you build around someone like, like Anna Kendrick, who's like really hitting her prime right now. She's about like what 25, 26. So just absolutely on the upswing of her career, that kind of thing. And so we took that idea and we expanded it originally to a top 9, and then, with a long car ride, we expanded it to an entire 25-man roster with a with a manager and a bench coach and a top prospect. Now, the top prospect kind of made us feel a little creepy, but it's just projections. It's not like any of that kind of stuff. But your top prospect has to be under 18. Not that you would want to sleep with them, but this is purely this is purely kind of correlating to baseball. So
yeah, and the other
first
thing,
year,
got to be in media, right?
Yes, yeah. Well, media, and they have to be like in the public, in like kind of in the public light.
Right.
So it's a singer, it's an actor, it's a model, it's even certain female athletes. Like, for example, one of my favorites right now is Alex Morgan.
Yeah,
she's
count that one.
Yeah, she's a player on the U.S. Olympic women's soccer team, and just absolutely gorgeous. It broke my heart to hear that she was engaged, even despite the fact that I am married. But she's appeared in the last 2. Exactly. That's how the game goes. She's appeared in the last 2 Sports Illustrated swimsuit editions. She has multiple endorsements. She's all over the place, aside from the fact that she is probably one of the best, if not the best, American female soccer player. So things like that factor in. And so what part of the game, and we will absolutely go further in depth, and DH and I will actually go through and draft our teams in a future episode, probably not the next one, but the one after that. And not only will we draft our players, but we will discuss what position they would be in, ideally, if they were actual ball players, and we would discuss where they would bat in a specific batting order. So this is just a little preview of what's to come. I really think this is something that could absolutely blow up and be a fun conversation piece all over the country with guys, girls. Girls can do the exact same thing with male celebrities and male athletes, and I think it could sweep the nation. So let's have fun with this. But we'll get farther into that in a future episode.
Yeah, I mean,
but
we definitely got to push for that, and hopefully, if you're listening or watching out there, and you want to get involved, shoot us an email. And let us know. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Who's your top 3, top 5, 25-man roster if you get ambitious? And speaking of previews, we are hoping next episode to do a preview of the around the league with the top 30 teams.
Yeah, we're gonna go division by division. We're gonna give our predictions to see who's gonna make it all the way. Who's going to win each division, maybe even Cy Young and batting title, and go over kind of new faces, new places, key additions for each team, which actually today specifically, a big transaction went down with Irvin Santana signing a 1-year, $14.1 million contract with the Braves to replace Chris Medlin, who looks like he's going to be going down with his second Tommy John surgery in the past 3 years. So heart breaks for that guy, but Braves had to do what they had to do.
Yeah.
But DH, you're going to be heading down to spring training, right?
That's right. Yeah. I got a nice 6 a.m. flight out of San Francisco. Going to meet up with my dad. That dude drove from Maine to Florida.
Ugh.
We're gonna stay with one of his buddies. So we got 2 free nights down there. I got tickets to the Phillies game. I'll definitely be doing some video / some pictures of that. And then we're going to hit the Rays game on Sunday at the Rays Park. Maybe a little FJM. Who knows? We'll tell you about that in a future episode. Maybe if we have a certain somebody on the if he's comfortable enough talking about it.
Yeah, that one's dedicated to one of our favorite Blue Jays fans up north of the border. But yeah, I can't wait to see that report from spring training and I will be holding it down here in sunny Southern California. Still looking for a job, but other than that, I'm gonna be doing my best to make this to help make this podcast as awesome for everyone out there as possible. Once again, follow us at the IOC Podcast on Twitter. Implied Oral Consent on Instagram. You can email us. We'd love to hear from you at theiocpodcast@gmail.com. Hopefully we get enough emails to put together a fun mailbag and answer everyone's emails. But DH, dude, this is going to be so awesome. I really am very fortunate to have met you, and I'm looking forward to kind of going on this journey with you, and being better friends in the future because of it.
I'm excited, bro. And what you guys don't understand is we've never actually met in person. This all happened because of technology, which is crazy. And yes, we are going to meet in person at some point, but this podcast is going to take off. The video is going to take off. Everything related, baseball, pop culture, whatever you need, we have it. And I'm excited. If you want to hit me on Twitter personally, you can hit me at Davis Media.
Ah, yes, that's right. Oh, well, personal plugs too. You can find me on Twitter as well, at Ryan Ciriaco, RyanCiriaco. I know for you baseball fans, the name Ciriaco is becoming a little bit more common with Pedro Ciriaco now playing, I think, a backup shortstop role with the Kansas City Royals. But yeah, hopefully this Ciriaco will make a name for himself too. But yeah, this is episode 0. So for Dave Harding, I'm Ryan Ciriaco, and that was Implied Oral Consent. Thanks for joining us, and we are out.
Said I've been lost and I've been found, and I've been searching my way through this town. I've been high and I've been low, I've been loved and I've been alone. But something inside me is different. Inside me is different. Somehow